Welcome back to Spotlight. Minister for Communications and Work, Mark Vanterpool is here. Honorable Mark Vanterpool is here. We had a discussion with Bevin of Little Speakers Touch. Interesting discussion. Interested after-school programs. Make sure you contact Youth Affairs and Sports and sign up. It sounds like something that's worthwhile for young people to build their self-esteem and their confidence. Thanks for coming, my brother.
Good to see you,
Jack. You're really living up to your name as the action man.
Yeah,
you're living up to your name. You were changing light bulb a few minutes ago,
right.
And a few minutes ago you were with taxi drivers, and a few minutes ago you're here now.
Yeah. Well, this is the place to be now, right? So I feel good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me.
I think it's great, the discussion, and I watched Saturday night's program, Speak Your Mind, and a great discussion, and it's great to have our elected members come out and talk about what they're doing. You know, I often say that our elected members shouldn't allow the people to tell them what they're doing, but to tell the people what they're doing. Right. So I'm happy that that you're coming and having the discussion. And of course, part of the motivation, speaking about the cruise pair development, part of the motivation is, of course, to enhance the tourism product. So I just want to start off with that as an introduction as to why the landside development, why the cruise ship expansion now at this particular time, and what impact you see it having on our tourism product.
Yeah. Thank you, Carmel. It's and I got to the ministry where ports came under my jurisdiction in November, and immediately I was presented with the situation where the cruise ship development was a very urgent question that the previous government was dealing with, and therefore I had to take quick action to understand it. And there was a case study done by the Ports Authority about cruise tourism and what is needed and so on. That was done in 2011. There was another one done in 2005, I believe, or 6, under the previous NDP government study that recommended certain things that needed to be done with the port. Obviously, the 2011 study was more important, and that evolved into the Disney Memorandum of Understanding that the previous government had begun. But we have tourism that sort of is split up into, we can say 3 areas. One is the hotels and inns. One is the charter boat tourism, sort of 7-day or 6-day kind of water tours. And the other one is the cruise tourism. Cruise tourism over the years has provided a significant income both to the central government from a point of view of head tax and to the public in different ways. Some people, the different arguments and discussions about that as to what value that is. At the end of the day, the value is not as much as it should be, is the point that I have concluded. The taxi men make some money. The various locations that the tours end up make some money. However, the effort has not been, sufficient effort in my view has not been made, and that came out from the study to establish more activity, destination activity, improving the historical sites, improving for example, Main Street in terms of what can be done there to get more cruise tourists spending their money there, and so on. So we, having seen those studies and having spent some time in Miami and having invited the cruise operators here from Miami in the last several months, beginning in January and February, the need is obvious for us to try to improve it. So there is a niche or a part of a tourism sector that must reflect the cruise tourism that we're trying to improve and increase on.
Okay. Now, this is a major project that you're undertaking, and a lot of people have a lot of different questions. And I'm going to start off to try to get an understanding of the project and what it's going to cost us and what the benefits, the potential benefits are. So I want to go right to the fact that we are going to be leasing about 4 acres of land on the cruise ship Pier, and that lease agreement, is there going to be a value for that lease agreement that part of that will be payment for the return of the investors on the investors' investment?
The deal that we are structuring, Cromwell, and we're not complete yet, and feedback is certainly welcome. That's right, and even questions like these are good questions. The deal that we're structuring is one where the Port Authority and the investors are basically forming a joint venture to develop and manage the land side of the port as well as the pier. The pier will be under full jurisdiction of the Port Authority. So there will be like a construction license to the group to build it, to expand it, but the jurisdiction and control of the pier, in other words, which boats can come in, what boats can't come in, how long they can stay at port, and all of the security issues and so on, are the complete jurisdiction of the Port Authority, which is, from our point of view, a sovereignty issue, and therefore that is under the control of the port. The landside development is a joint venture between the port and the investors. The port is...
And these are total Pier partners?
Yes. The port is putting the land in as their part of it, from their point of view, the value of the land, and total Pier partners are putting in their 75 million approximately for their part of it. So
what I'm trying to understand from that is, because I had this discussion on Umoja, and people weren't quite sure that has a value been placed on the lease. So are they leasing the land for, say, $100,000 a year, and then that would be a part of the payback, because it appears to the public that this is a loan where they're coming in, loaning the government the $75 million to build a pier project along with other things that they're going to do, and there's got to be a way where they're going to recuperate that money. And what I'm asking is the land part of that recuperation process.
No, the land is intended to be on lease to the joint venture of the port and the authority. It's what we call a nominal lease, and in this case, for nominal lease, you normally say, for the sake of putting a value, at least for $1.
Oh, okay.
In that sense. Now, the port is using their land as part of their equity in the deal. So the group is not paying a fee to rent the land or lease the land. This is the port's investment in the deal. So at the end of the day, just for the sake of the legality of it, it will be like a lease for $1.
Okay. So that would be something that the investor wouldn't have to pay for out of pocket as an expense.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the financing of the project is how are they going to finance it, and how are they going to get their money back?
The financing of the project, let me start from what we met. There was an agreement with Disney that Disney will loan the government $12 million to extend the pier. Over, if I remember the whole deal, it was over a 10 or 12 year period at 6% interest. That was the deal that I met when I got there. In light of what was happening, we're borrowing, the BVI was outside of the United Kingdom borrowing guidelines. So that $12 million would not have been approved by the United Kingdom because we were already out of the borrowing guidelines. And therefore, in my conversations with Disney, we said to them, we would much prefer if you were willing to make an investment with us rather than a loan with us. And we would also like you to consider, when you're considering your investment, the land side of the project for development. I haven't had meetings in the U.S. with the what you call FCCA, the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association. So Disney said, okay, we would like to go away and think about that. They went away for a while, and they came back with a group of investors, which is this group, to the table. So we said, put your offer on the table, because we were inviting, at the time, 2 other offers. We ended up with 3 others, but we said we were inviting 2 other offers. So they put the offer on the table. The government sat on the various offers for some time, discussed the pros and cons, and decided that after a few months that they would want to engage this group in discussions for further negotiations. This group agreed in the initial offer to invest. The number was 57 million for the Pier and the Pier and the land side, and another $20 million over a period of time, a longer period of time, to assist us with the development of the Greater Rotown. So that's how it all started. It's an investment, it's not a loan. We don't have any liabilities to them in terms of paying back the investment that they're making. They were willing to take the risk in the project without us guaranteeing them anything. They felt that they could guarantee us or work with us through negotiations that they would make with the Disney Group and another cruise line we talked to, Norwegian Cruise Line, and they are
making the connections with
those groups and negotiating
their own deals.
Not their own, a deal along with the Port Authority.
Okay.
No, they're not doing it for themselves. But at the end of the day, if they, which they have, were able to make a deal to be able to get a higher value for our head tax and also create the atmosphere on the land side, then that would be their assurance that they can make their money back. So we went out and made some negotiations with them. I was on the discussions with them. I was on the discussions with Disney Cruise Lines, the discussions with Norwegian Cruise Lines. We came up with a negotiation where they will guarantee over a certain period of time, 15 years, a number of passengers, and based on these number of passengers for a particular rate, this investment group felt that they could make their money back and some. And that's the arrangement that we have. So,
do we know what that rate is that the head tax for the passenger is going to go to?
The rate is at 15 right now. With $15 is the rate that we're looking for from the cruise passengers.
For the new arrangement.
Yes.
And the cruise lines that they made arrangement with. What cruise lines that have they made arrangements with to come in now?
Norwegian Cruise Lines and Disney.
Norwegian Cruise Line. And Norwegian is promising to have how many passengers annually?
350.
And Disney?
And Disney, 75. And this is initially.
Okay.
They expect these numbers to increase over a period of time, but that's the number they're prepared to guarantee.
Okay, and so a portion of the head tax is going to go to the investors, to our total port partners, and a portion is going to come to the Port Authority.
The Port Authority.
Okay, can you make that delineation?
We haven't finalized it, but I can tell you what we have discussed. What has happened is that Disney and the Norwegian Cruise Line, in the case of Disney, for the guarantee that they're giving, and for the guarantee that they're giving and some other benefits that we are looking to them for, hospitality training and some other things. Hospitality training and marketing, of the territory. They have negotiated with us a rebate for the first 5 years, I think it is, of $3 on their rate.
Okay, I don't understand that.
$15.
Okay, it's $15.
But they will only be paying 12.
Norwegian will only be paying 12.
Norwegian is a different thing. They are 15, and they will be paying. I think they get a $150 rebate.
And that one, and okay, so the cruise line is getting a deduction off from the head tax in order to do marketing.
The two cruise lines that are giving us a guarantee.
The
other cruise lines who are coming will be paying 15.
Okay, so the deal with the two cruise line, Disney and Norwegian Cruise Line, does not preclude any other cruise line from coming in.
No.
So we're going to have...
no, in fact, they will be encouraging, and we will be encouraging other cruise lines to come in.
Okay. So you will have approximately 425,000 passengers guaranteed from these two cruise lines, plus what else is coming from Carnival,
Royal
Caribbean,
Holland
American, and all others.
Princess Cruise, Costco.
Yeah, so you're looking well over 600,000-700,000 cruise line per year. Now, is this going to be a regular thing where, because we have an off season and on season? Are we going to continue to have an off season and an on season, or we expect to have cruise tourists all year long?
Well, the number that we're using, which is beginning when we reopened the port fully in December 2014, when the cruise ships are ready to rebook with us, having had a 2-year, most of the big ones haven't been out for 2 years. The number that we're looking at when they start back at that level will be 550,000 tourists per year. Now, how that will be spread over the year will be at different times. One or two of the cruise lines, for example, Norwegian Cruise Line, is their number that they're guaranteeing will be spread over 12 months. They will be coming for 12 months of the year. Disney is going to be coming at different intervals. In fact, they're spread initially over every other week here. And other cruise lines will have different stops. But the one that I know about for sure right now, who are going to be making 12-month stops, is Norwegian Cruise Lines. We are negotiating with others along those lines. Okay. And we are trying to encourage the others to come during the off-season.
Now, you said you're giving them a rebate, these two cruise liners, to do marketing. Who's going to be monitoring the marketing? They
will be working with the tourist board on that matter.
Okay. Because you know that some of these cruise ships, when they do marketing, they point the customers into the direction that they want to go, and we have to make sure that some of those tourists are going to flow in the direction that we want them to flow in. So you're saying the tourist board is going to be responsible for that happens?
They'll be working with the tourist board on that. For example, in the deal we're making also, Disney hospitality training will be offered to our taxi operators, our hotel workers, and so on. We're going to be engaging Disney hospitality training in the Virgin Islands to assist us.
So that's not just going to be for the Pier pack. They're going to be coming into our general tourism product and improving our service training.
Yeah, we will be having various training sessions. And
you have an idea how that's going to work logistically as yet?
No, the tourist board and they will be working on that. And I'm really not getting into details of that right now, but that's something that we're engaging the tourist board to work with Disney on. But the relationship, and when we made the selection, all these came into play. When we made the selection of this group, the relationship that we want to establish with Disney is that they can offer us this level of training that they are very, as you know, worldwide known for.
Okay, and you expect this project to be completed when?
We're aiming at the Pier extension part of it to be completed, one side of the pier to hold the bigger ships by December this year. And the rest of the project to be completed at the end of 2013.
Okay. So the ship's going to be coming before the landside development?
While we're preparing the development, in other words, by December this year, The smaller ships will continue to come on one side of the pier or two sides, but we're inviting what we call test calls for the new bigger ships to visit us between December this year and December the following year, what you call test calls. In other words, they won't have us, they already booked us out of the itinerary, not in the itinerary, but we invite them to come and do test calls during that period.
To see how they fit with the new expansion.
Right, and test it. Remember, the cruise ships usually book the itinerary between 16 and 18 months in advance. So because we don't have the long enough cruise pair at this point, they've already booked the itineraries other places until the beginning of 2014.
Okay, who's going to be collecting the money that's flowing into the port to the cruise ship, and also on the landside development?
The Port Authority collects the head tax and pays the portion, and we didn't really get to the portion yet, did we?
No, we didn't. Right.
So I need to, what we're, of the 15, in the first 15 years, 9 goes to the developers and 6 to the Port Authority.
Okay. But you've got to take out the $1 and the $3 for the...
From the development group 9.
Oh, so that money is coming out of their 9, so they get in what, $7.50 and $6.
At the end of the day, that's the kind of number they're looking at, yeah.
Okay.
But
that's for a 15-year period.
Yeah.
Does that change after the 15
After
period?
15 years, the amount is split 50-50.
Okay. And we still going to be giving, and then they still going to be giving the cruise lines the rebate for the promotion?
No, at this time that negotiated figure is up in the air, but that will have ended by then. In other words, it will be, and at that time it will be more than 15, obviously, because we have what we call a 2% increase factor per annum in the rates, what we call an inflationary factor. So by then we expect the rate to be higher than 15. I think after the 15 years it will be 19 or 20. And we get 50% of that, and they get 50% of that.
So you expect rate...
There'll be no more rebates at that time.
And you expect rate increases over time.
Yeah. It's factored into the arrangement.
And the management of the port side is going to be between Port Authority and
a joint group with them, yes.
And total port partners. How is that going to be selected? How is that going to be found?
The ports will be allowed to have a certain number. I think it's a 50-50 percentage on management board. The Port Authority will have what we call a final overriding vote on that committee.
The port, say that again.
The Port Authority, it is a disagreement, let's say, on a decision to be made. Let's say on selecting a vendor to go in, or selecting who the management would be, or whatever it is. The Port Authority have an overriding vote.
Okay. I know one of the concerns with the land, whether any liens are going to be placed on it, or is the land going to be in any jeopardy or used as collateral or any of that sort of thing? No,
not at all. The land is free and clear. The only reason why this group wants to have the land on lease is that they want to ensure that there's always access to the land from their part. But they have it's very clear in the lease agreement that they can't put it on lien, they can't subjugate it to anyone else, or any such thing. The land will be clear. It cannot be liened.
So, okay, now you're talking about a $75 million investment, yes, and
the exact numbers right now, Brother Cromwell, that we are looking at in the arrangement is somewhere just over $70 million.
Just over $70 million.
Yeah, I want to use that number because 75 is a rounded number, but and more likely will come to that, because the pier extension especially seems to be costing more than we expected.
So it's approximately.
But it's approximately 75. But the numbers we're using in our agreement is 70 million.
Okay. Now you're going to use some of that money is going to be used for craft of life development, some going to be used for Main Street development, and some going to be used for the historical sites development. Yeah, what we're doing, let's just use rounded numbers for now, just for the sake of discussion. Roughly 25 million will be used for the pay extension, another 25 million for the landside development,
and roughly 30 million for the landside development, which is 55, and the other 20 million that we expect, we are going to look at 2 million upfront for road town improvements, whether we use it for, and we are doing the craft alive before we make this deal, so we are starting to do a project. So that has not really been funded from this, but if we want to extend the sidewalks in town, if we want to fix the prison, the old prison on Main Street, we want to do some other things in the town that is connected, if we want to fix all the historical sites through the territory, this fund is for that purpose. And
so are we going, because you just said if we want to, are we going to be doing these things? What are we going to be doing with the with Rotong proper Main Street, particularly Craft Alive, particularly, and historic sites particularly?
Yeah, and that's a something that we, as we have allocated the funds for that, but we want to have broader discussions in that with the public, and that begins, some of the discussions begin on the 26th or 27th of July. I think we're going to have an open forum discussion those 2 days on Rotong development. We're going to be working with the tourist board, with other groups about the historical sites developments that we want to do, and once we put those into context, then we want to look at how we're going to access these funds. We want to put a boardwalk around the water. This is one of the things that we are asking that these funds be used for, to develop that, and other things like that in the city that we're going to be earmarking those funds for. Like I said, 2 million up front, and on an annual basis over the next period of time, we will be accessing about $400,000 a year from that $20 million to continue to develop Rotong. So it's not going to all happen all at once. We're going to plan it and work it in as we go along over the next several years.
But we want the Pier site to be developed as quickly as possible.
The Pier site especially, yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break forward from our sponsors. Sure. We're going to come back with more discussion. We're going to talk about the investment, perhaps, because you know there's a concern about local investment in the project. Is there still time to have that happen? What can happen with that? And other important issues surrounding the port development. Yes. Okay. Keep it locked right in Spotlight. We're coming right back.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Tortola Concrete Limited, Gilbert's Painting Contractors, and CCT Global Communications.